making another video because the QuickTime Player defaults to no input for audio instead of the microphone that is within the Mac. But anyway, basically I more recently have been kind of contemplating the state of events. It's October 30th, 4:33 p.m. and like looking at things overall, I decided to get my insurance adjuster license, basically, to familiarize myself with that industry based off of some of the things that I've seen that really concern me. And yeah, so anyways, I bought this adjuster course, and at first the course materials were concerning 9/11 settlements made after it happened, to illustrate the concepts of the course. And I was on my other computer doing that, and somewhere in between working on the course, the website updated, and the emails gave me two different URLs, right? But both of them directed me to the same updated classroom with course materials that were completely different from the one that I was working on. So I wanted the old ones because I'm actually interested in that. It's something that needs to be studied and something that's always pissed me off. But anyways, I call support, or let me back up. I go to sleep that night, and I barricade the door to make sure that no one could get in, and I don't know, I'm just paranoid. But I wake up and my computer pin has been reset completely and unexplainably. So I don't really know what to do about that. But anyways, I luckily was able to get back into the adjuster course, except the new updated version without any of the old materials that I thought were relevant and important and more interesting and just better overall. So I called support and asked about the two URLs first of all, but also there's a link that says Legacy Classroom sign in, so obviously I wanted that. Tried to get access to that. They not only told me that the website was moved to the new classroom. What are the odds of that, right? So that one is no longer available, but he also mentioned the only people with access, not only there's no record of me having access to the course materials, but also the only people with access still are corporate for some reason. As to why they wouldn't kick them out and update. They also mentioned that the websites were kept shutting down, and that's why they moved to the new updated version. So kind of to go off on another topic, I'm mad that my first videos didn't save with the audio. I'm so mad about that. But I go to the 2025 annotated statutes, and in the editor's notes consistently, very, very consistently, I mean, probably once at least every 10 pages, the editor's notes mention I'll give you an example. So 26/12/202, 2025 annotated statutes, of which I also have state provided USB and the online, so I've also referenced that with this. The editor's notes mention there's no subsection B in this section as it appears in the printed acts. What does that mean, right? I called them about it. We did some research, and the one of the statutes we were focusing on during the time of the call mentioned there was no subsection B. So, I mean, we thought that maybe the old versions of the statutes that were published would have these subsections and they just took them out. However, the statute in question at the time of the call, there was subsections. It only mentioned there was no subsection B in this section as it appears in the printed act. That's all it mentioned. The section that we had gone back to, I think it was 1967. There was subsection, okay, in the 1967 or previous archived statutes. There was a subsection A, B, C, D, E. Why would the editor's notes only mention no subsection B? Is it even mentioning those old archived acts? I fucking doubt it. Like, I honestly doubt it. I think that they're hiding subsections from the general public. As to why is anyone's guess, but let me add something to kind of support that. So during a city council, some city meeting that I was attending online and screen recording, someone came up to the mic and shared their experience of midnight legislation being called the backdoor permits to begin construction on or near his property. I don't remember, but so he went on to tell about how the legislature convened at midnight so he wouldn't be able to attend, and then subsequent construction started and his property was ruined by sewage, and like he couldn't do anything about it. And I remember, I wish with everything in my heart that I would have posted it at that moment, but out of privacy concerns for that person, I decided to hang on to it. But anyway, I went back to that because I thought it was especially relevant considering this. The footage was altered, trimmed to the last 15 minutes, and the audio was taken out. Like, okay, so say someone got a hold of my hard drives, whatever, got to the video, trimmed it. I understand that. After making the screen recording, I distinctly remember it had audio. Like, it had audio. And then I go to retrieve that, and what do you know? There's no audio, and it's only the last fucking 10 minutes of... And also during that meeting, since we're on that subject, and our legislature and government in general is administratively incompetent in transparency to the general public to an extent that makes me fucking furious. But oh my god, what was I saying? Literally, what was I just talking about? Yeah, so I remember during that, I don't know if this is relevant or what, but I remember during that meeting there were explanations about the floodplain estimates or something of that nature that he jumped through hoops to conform to FEMA standards in order to reduce insurance premiums. And I put in chat one question prior, and then that sort of got answered, I think. I'm a little fuzzy on that. But I also remember that I asked what those guidelines for FEMA was and how that, just to explain that. Some support thing contacted me. Some support thing said something else after that, but my question never got answered, so I don't know. So, like, for example, as citizens, I will give $100 to whoever can find 2612202 subsection B, because the statute's annotated version mentions that there is none in this section as it appears in the printed acts. But what does that mean? Like, to me, it doesn't sit right with me at all. I've been calling legislators. They said they'd get back to me. Like, at this point, I'm just confused and uncertain about. So let's say there is some hidden subsections, right? If those get deleted, do you understand the investigative implications of that? Like, over 200,000 Wyoming LLCs are registered to a single address in Sheridan. Oh, interesting. Right when I said that. Kind of reminds me of how, what was I just saying? Like, why would they hide it, first of all? Well, to me, I feel like they are hiding it to cover their tracks, or somehow. I mean, insurance fraud is a $300 billion a year last statistic I saw, and $200 billion of that is life and property and casualty fraud. So as far as that relates to the rest of everything, it's hard to say. But I just think it's important if, first of all, I call the customer questions support, the suggestions, comments, and questions concerning the Wyoming statutes annotated that we as a state delegate to disseminate to the public, advertising it as the most current, updated, and accurate version of the statutes. Call us toll free at 800-446-3410. Disconnected. The customer service number for LexisNexis, you need